TalkNorth.com is powered by Bite Squad. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Get food to your door in minutes. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. Talk North gets you your first delivery free.
Attention business owners and managers. Are you determined to make 2019 your best year yet? Are you tired of not showing up online where people are searching? Are you overwhelmed by digital marketing? If you answered yes to these, stop. Write this down, and after the podcast, get help. Go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve. Glory Ramsey and Successful Marketing Group will help you get found, get customers, and build your dreams. Her results are proof. After the podcast, go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve and sign up for a free 45-minute phone call and action plan with Glory. Make 2019 a huge success.
Welcome back to the Cheryl Reeve Show, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. Thank you to our sponsors, SuccessfulMarketingGroup.com and Shelly Bean, the Sports Bean, children's books with a female protagonist. Thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. Please download our shows before you listen. You can find all the shows at TalkNorth.com or your favorite podcast app. And on Twitter, please start following us at TalkNorthPod. We're going to put sponsor news, live show information, all kinds of network information there that won't always appear on my main Twitter feed. We would appreciate that. And if you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. So, Cheryl, catch us up on what it's like for you this time of the year. Are you starting, when do you really hit free agency? When do you really bear down on the draft?
Well, I say that in our league, it's the kind of the turn of the new year. You feel like everybody's, kind of like it gets turned up a notch. Everybody's kind of back to work, so to speak, and a lot more dialogue amongst the coaches because January 1st is the true start of free agency in that you're doing contractual things with the league. You're sending qualifying offers, core designations, extensions of rookie contracts, and so you're really in and kind of taking deeper dives into your roster and possibilities, and then we're gearing up next week to be able to start talking with actual free agents and begin negotiations. And so there's been a lot of conversation, just with our staff, just trying to figure out the best path forward, who would be good fits, and in our league's a little bit different with free agency, and it's when you think about the NBA in particular, that you're preparing for such and such big name, for example, LeBron James, to be a free agent in such and such summer, and we just don't have that movement in our league of the top players. I think we have movement of more of what the mid-level, sometimes the upper middle, and so that's sort of what that's about, and maybe in the future that will change, but I think for now, the free agency is an important piece. It's just that you're not going to get through just true unrestricted free agency one of the top players in the league. You'll have to probably end up trying to do a trade, a sign and trade for maybe players that have been cored by their teams, and so I think there's a lot of conversation going on right now, which is normal. Certainly the draft, a couple big matchups. I know the Notre Dame Louisville game had some really, really quality prospects. We've got even in Minnesota on Monday night, big game with one of the top prospects, Megan Gustafson from Iowa, coming into town to play against Kenesha Bell, who's a prospect. So a lot of fun things going on in the collegiate world in terms of preparing for the draft. And I'll just say it consumes us. That's what our off season is. Traveling around, watching video, whatever it is, and you're just trying to put your best roster together to get ready to go to battle for 2019.
You've had so much stability on your roster for a number of years while winning all the championships. Lindsay retires. Danielle's coming in as your starting point guard. Are we going to see any major changes, do you think? Is this roster going to look completely different, or are you going to be just kind of tweaking what you have?
I think there's a better chance that, like you said, as compared to past years, that there'll be more change than usual. We've got some situations with our bench, whether it's Eurobasket, in two cases, I think we're probably more open to doing things and change. For example, that maybe then, like you said, when you're going through a run of championships and you're basically 2 or 3 players tops, that 3 would be a lot of change. And so we're a little bit different right now, and we're going to be aggressive. We had a number of the contracts of the key players have lapsed, and so we have a fair amount of money to be able to be aggressive, in places that we feel like we need to be.
So on Sunday, I went to the Gopher women's basketball game, and I was all fired up. I love writing about Whalen, and her team's been a blast to watch this year. And didn't go so. I ended up not writing about her because it didn't go so well. And then Tom Thibodeau was fired, and I ended up changing gears. And I sat opposite corner of where you and some of our mutual friends sat. And since then, Lindsay's team lost against a very good team on the road. What are you seeing from her program right now?
Well, I think all of us that watch the Gophers, I think the beginning part, the non-conference schedule, I thought it was really important for Lindsay's team to get in there and build momentum as they move towards the Big Ten Conference. I will say that, they had a great win against Syracuse, was a big test for them. So they had a number of games that they played really, really well. The hard thing is, though, when you win 12 games straight, you start to think that that you've arrived, you know what you're doing. You forget the little things, that how you got there, maybe how hard you worked in the preseason. Even early on, you have this kind of newness where you're trying to win games early, and all of a sudden you have 8 games, 9 games, 10 games that you're winning all of them. You start to lose it. You can't help that. That's at every level, and I think that's what you're seeing now. I think the Illinois game, I think, is a hard one for them because they were in command of that game. They clearly were the better team. They just didn't play very well in the second half. They didn't make as many shots, and then all of a sudden Illinois did. I think Gophers win a couple possessions of zone. They knocked down a couple threes, and they all of a sudden they started making shots, got some momentum. They ran the high ball screen really, really well, and next thing you know, it was inside of double digits, and then all of a sudden the visiting team goes, "Hey, we can win this thing. Let's just hang in there," and we just couldn't buy baskets. You have to be able to score, right? It's at some point you can get us, however many stops, but at some point you got to execute your offense, and they just couldn't get that done in that game, and so that hurts. Losing on the road, to a Michigan State team. They're really good.
Yeah.
I think they're playing well. They too have a prospect and a senior in Jenna Allen. That you're going there. It's a ranked team, and by the way, everyone wants to beat you now because you are 12th in the country and you were undefeated, and so Illinois celebrated like they won the darn championship, and so that's that feeling of, and I think that's uncharted water a little bit for the Gophers, and so. They just have to, by the way, they have a big game Monday against Iowa, who's a really good team. So they got to figure it out quickly. Got to have short-term memory, and I think Lindsay Whalen's really good at that. Move on to the next game and, try to correct the errors that you're making. And, but don't lose sight of, just continuing to, focus on the little things that win a possession. You don't talk about wins and losses in terms of the game. You talk about winning possessions, and you string those together, and you hope that you win more possessions than the opponent. That's where the focus has got to be.
Glory Ramsey is a friend of ours and a friend of the program. She runs successfulmarketinggroup.com. You can go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve to get personal and expert guidance on marketing your business, on making your business grow. And one of the things we love about Glory is she's very personal, but she's also an expert. She can get your business found. She can get you up in the the Google rankings. As I know from owning and running my own business. What you do sometimes doesn't matter if people can't find you.
That's
Glory
exactly
can
right.
help you get found. So check out successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve, and you get a free action plan and some guidance from Glory. So we meant to talk about the Maori Davenport story last week, and we had so many other topics. We never really got to it. The summation is, a high school basketball star lost her eligibility because Team USA mistakenly sent her a check. But I think you know more about the story than I do, or at least you probably have a very passionate stance about the story.
Of course I do. It's an unfortunate situation. Here is a senior high school baller down in Alabama. This is a case of absolute innocence on the part of the athlete. It was a clerical error on the part of USA Basketball, and I know they feel just incredibly terrible to be going through this, and then obviously for this player not to be able to play in their senior year because Alabama High School Athletic Association has ruled her ineligible because USA Basketball sent what is essentially a stipend check for per diem. I'm experienced with it, so I know what those checks are. And USA Basketball, it's sort of it's their job to understand which states do what. In terms of affecting players' eligibility. Some states allow for their players to receive that check, and Alabama is one that does not. And so Maori received that check, cashed the check, and then it was discovered by USA Basketball that she should not have gotten it. They alerted the association. And that's the difficult thing here. This is not a case that they tried to cover something up, that they were trying to get away with, having the money. Had they not sort of brought it to the association's attention, they may never have known. And so that's the most difficult thing here is the intent. And I always say that sometimes common sense, is really difficult for people. And the particular gentleman that's sort of the decision maker in all of this, Jay Billis, has really taken him to task. And I spent some time on the phone with him, I think, talked with him, and Jay Billis has been very passionate in Maori's defense. We certainly are not doing right by this young person. And, it's like I said, if you go back and you go, what was the intent here? Was there some sort of recruiting advantage? Was there something that, somebody did to, try to, circumvent the rules? And none of that applies here. And I think the Alabama legislature is involved. I think there was movement to push for the association to reinstate her. I heard that recently, and hopefully that happens. And this is a young person you never get these days back when you think about that. A high school senior, the end of your high school career, and you're not able to participate because of an innocent error, and that's just something that's unacceptable. And adults should do way better.
It's horrible. And the latest headline just on my Google feed is that Alabama House Republicans call for Davenport reinstatement. So maybe some politicians are moving things in the right direction. But it's just not. This isn't a tough one. This isn't like a gray area. This isn't it's tough to make. This is just so simple.
It really is. And like I said, the innocence of it. The association feels like. The athletes should know the rules and what they can and can't do, and maybe in an ideal world that's the case. But I know that most young people look to us for guidance, look to adults for guidance, and the adults in her world are failing her. And even if they reinstate her now, like I said, this is you can't get those days back. You can't change this experience for her. Thankfully, she's already signed a letter of intent, and we'll have the opportunity to participate as a college athlete at Rutgers. But still, it's a really unfortunate situation, and I'm proud of the people that have been advocates for her, and maybe we can get her reinstated and still play part of her senior year. But this is a terrible memory for her.
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd like to sponsor this show or host our show, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. We do appreciate our current sponsors. Again, Gloria Ramsey from successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve, and also Shelly Bean, the Sports Queen, with our friend Shelly, who is the author and is doing big things with her book series. Girls' participation in sports and fitness is exploding, but the boys they play with and the books they read don't represent that. Did you know that in the United States, less than 1% of children's picture books published annually have a female character who is physically active? Shelly Bean, the Sports Queen book series is changing that one book at a time, and it makes a perfect gift at any time of the year. Follow along in each book as Shelly, being the sports queen, learns a new sport. It's not easy for her, but she never gives up, and to reward herself at the end of each story, she makes a new sports charm for her crown. Then, at the end of the book, you can use the tips to learn how to shoot a basketball or ice skate. You can meet her best friend Maya, her buddies Parisa and Mason, and don't forget Shelly Bean's little dog Spike. To purchase your copies, go to ShellyBeanTheSportsQueen.com and